to the first ever podcast of the Old Lady Hour with Lorrie and Sheryl, coming to you from downtown Tuscaloosa at the Lorrie Lane Studio. And today's broadcast is brought to you by none other than the Lorrie Lane Studio on 2420 6th Street. No, they changed the name. 2420 Gary Fitz Street. Come on down, and you can come down during our podcast even.
Yeah, come visit us.
And we'll be here. We're very friendly. People seem to be reluctant to come through the door some days, but
Lori's very friendly.
we're friendly.
I'm a curmudgeon.
Okay, so this is a good time to introduce ourselves. So Sheryl, take it away. Introduce yourself.
My name is Sheryl. Thank you.
Well, you've got to say more than that. That is Sheryl Jeffries, and she is our producer of the show. She's also an art historian and helps to keep the gallery running. She's also an Uber driver.
That's right.
So she has multiple hats. And speaking of hats, she also creates them and makes the hats.
That's true.
They are for sale at the studio along with all the other artwork. So we are multifaceted, and that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yes. And I also write.
Okay, so yeah, that's right. I'm Lorrie Lane, and I have Lorrie Lane Studio. I'm a painter, and that's mostly what I do. I like to talk, and that is the other reason why we decided to have a podcast.
She likes people.
I do like people, and I like to talk about people, and so that here we are. Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay. And that is this podcast just about old ladies?
No.
Okay. And?
Did you want me to elaborate on that?
Yes, I do.
Well, we are old, so give us that first. But no, we would be very boring if we just talked about old ladies. So we're going to talk about all kinds of things, including my personal deficits, like pop culture and my personal strengths.
That's right.
Like politics.
But we have a perspective, and we have a lot of opinions.
That's right.
And we think that those perspectives and opinions aren't really reflected in all the 10 bajillion podcasts out there. So that's why we're adding our voice to this. So our plan is to be able to talk about the things that we talk about to each other on a daily basis. We wanted to share them with you, the audience of millions that will happen.
That's right.
Or at least, maybe tens of you. And then we'd also like to do some interviews with our friends and our local celebrities. So that's going to come up on the subsequent podcast.
And our friends are local celebrities.
They're very talented. We have a lot of really amazing, interesting people that we'd like to have, a voice on this show. And then we just have some things that we think are funny. So, we're going to say them. Anyway,
we're going to get loud.
That's right. So we decided to call this the old lady because we are objectively old. We're not like super old. There are levels of old, but we're not going to get any younger. So we're just going to stay with that. So we have decades of experience and life lessons, and also just ridiculous things we've done that we want to share with the world.
Yes.
Overshare with the world.
Yes.
And so this first episode is really just an introduction to us, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and a way for us to get used to talking in front of microphones. And Cheryl's nodding her head, but they can't see you, Sheryl.
Well, I was just thinking that my role is going to be to sit here and go, yes.
No, you have to.
Yes.
You have to, like, without the microphones, you say a lot more. So you just pretend they're not there.
Yes.
Okay. But on background, Cheryl's been doing all of the figuring out how to actually do the technical parts of this, which are not easy. And bear with us. We'll get better with the technical things, but we're going to learn.
Yeah, so what did Lorrie decide to do? She decided to have our first guest be a professional radio person.
Well, I haven't asked him yet, so I got to.
I know, but I didn't say who.
Okay, he'll be here, I'm sure. We'll
But I think that was pretty bold.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we're nothing if not bold. One of the things that we sit here and boldly talk about are the people that park on the street in front of us.
That's right.
And Sheryl, are you tolerant of how they park?
I would say the short answer is no. I would say I am a curmudgeon, and I sit here and criticize people for their parking finesse.
Yeah, so don't let that may be one of the things that scares people away from the gallery. They know we're judging them.
Oh, well.
But we're not really.
Well,
yes, we are.
Well,
we're judging their parking.
We're just judging your parking.
Yes. And sometimes we judge their vehicles.
And sometimes we judge them when they stand outside the window and look at the art and don't come in.
There is that. We have a very large, for those of you who can't see this, we have a large store window, and so it's reflective, so we can see out, but I think it's harder for people to see in, and so they forget that it's not just a mirror, and so we see a lot that people don't think that we're seeing. We see people in their sometimes very private moments.
Yes, if you're out there smooching,
we have seen that.
You do have an audience.
We have seen that. That was one of the funnier things that we have seen. But there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on Gary Fitz Street. And,
it's a happening place.
And this is, in downtown Tuscaloosa again. We're helping to promote beautiful downtown Tuscaloosa.
And it is beautiful.
We are now in the Arts and Entertainment District, so that's also exciting. We recently had our first Friday, which is our art walk that the downtown participates in. And this month, although we usually have pretty good turnouts, this month at 5:00 on the dot, what happened?
We had a torrential downpour with extensive lightning.
And wind.
And lots of wind.
And I think there was hail. Maybe not here, but there was hail other places. Anyway, we left early. So we're going to try to have a second Friday this month. Just because I bought a lot of wine. So I can't, I don't really want to drink. Well.
Oh, yes, you do.
I do. These times that we live in are not conducive to being completely sober at all moments. So
for some people.
So one thing we need to introduce is how we actually met.
Right.
And Sheryl, I'll let you say that.
Sure. The COVID pandemic, when it struck, was a very bad time, as we all remember. However, some good things did come out of it. And particularly for me, and I feel almost a little guilty for that, but it is what it is. During COVID, Facebook tells me that Lorrie and I became friends 5 years ago yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I trust everything Facebook tells me. So I was in the local Facebook COVID group, and mostly I liked the group header, which was always art, or mostly art. So that's what I was there for. No, I'm kidding. I was there for the information, but the art really drew me in. And Lorrie was running the group. She started the group. She was the administrator. And so I followed the stuff that she wrote and how she responded to people and the responsibility that she took for the worldwide pandemic. And so probably after about 6 weeks, I decided, okay, I'll friend her.
Okay, so that was, but I mean, I guess I had no idea who you were even then because, okay, and I'll just backtrack a little bit on this. We don't really, I mean, I don't really like to think about way back in 2020 because it was kind of a terrible time.
Right.
But back in March of 2020, I had opened my studio. I'd opened the business downtown in, officially it was November of 2019. And things got going pretty good.
Imagine that, opening a business in November of 2019.
Yes, and then there we could see that there was this new illness, this new virus, and I'm like, well, it's not here, but then it was here, and so March 13th, I believe, something like that. I think it was like a Thursday, and I was going to a vestry meeting at church, and so I had a little bit of time, and I'd seen that some of my friends were looking for COVID testing, and we were trying to figure out if DCAF, the local arts festival, is still going to be happen, and I couldn't find any place that had any information. So I just started a Facebook group, which I didn't really know much about. I was like, oh, well, let's just start that and put some local information on it.
Yep.
And I didn't put any parameters on it. I just opened it. I went to the meeting. At the meeting, we decided we couldn't meet in person for church. And, when we were thinking, well, maybe, a few weeks, something like that. I looked down at my phone and there were, I don't know, like 5,000 people had joined the group. And then it ended up very quickly being 20,000 members.
Wow.
And so I had help from a good bit of other administrators because I did not know what I was doing. I did not know what I was in for, but it was quite a ride. Anyway, that's where we met online, although I didn't know who you were at all because I just knew at the time you were Gardener Cheryl,
That's right.
and you were making a lot of masks.
Yeah, that's right.
So how many masks did you make?
I had actually started sewing like a year before. I was going to make bags, but then I put them away and quit doing them. And then when COVID hit, there was this call for sewists to make bags or to make masks. And I'm like, well, I'm not very good, but I'll give it a shot. They gave you the patterns and stuff. And I ended up making 1,600 masks that I gave away to the hospital and nursing homes and clinics.
Yeah, and that was I don't think, it's hard to remember, but people were desperate at that point.
They were.
So it was really, so that was a big, and I remember that you done that.
Yeah.
And then I think we actually met, the group lasted until once the vaccines came out and everything. So it was like a year and a half of doing that.
Right.
And I managed to keep my art business going somehow,
Which is amazing.
Which was great. We did a lot of online, and it's all worked out. So here we are, 5.5 years later, still going. But I think at some point, you came in person.
I did.
And I was kind of surprised because a lot of people, there's still people I haven't met in real life that were part of that group. So that was kind of, even some of the administrators, we didn't meet in person until later on once we got our vaccines. So
Yeah.
so the in-person thing was pretty cool. And so I don't know, yada yada yada, here we are.
Yeah.
And
then I came to a First Friday.
You came to a First Friday, and then I think you came to one of Liz's openings.
I did.
So I was very impressed with the fact that you were showing up to art events.
Yeah, you have to understand too that it wasn't just COVID, but I was a very hermit type person. Aside from doing Uber driving, which is, I know, makes no sense, but I'm not a people person, and I don't get out much.
except that you were back in college, so which
Which is one of the good things COVID brought me. I was able to go back to school.
so you were at Shelton,
Yep,
and I think you were taking some art classes.
I was.
And you were enjoying it.
Yes.
And then you graduated from Shelton, and were looking for a place to finish up your undergraduate degree, and ended up at the W in
At
Columbus.
whose suggestion?
It was my suggestion. You were looking at a lot of different options, and I knew several people who'd been to the W, and I knew they had good art program. And since you lived halfway there, I thought, well, you're already on the west side of the state.
Right.
It probably wouldn't be too bad of a drive or whatever.
Right, because the alternate that I was really trying to get into Montevallo. And I did get in, and I got scholarships, but the information came much later than the W, and I committed to the W.
And so, yeah, and then, we wouldn't have had a lot more interaction, but at some point you were complaining about studying at the library, and you
Right.
didn't have a quiet place.
I
And
had nowhere to go.
I was sitting here kind of by myself all day just painting, and I said, well, it's quiet here. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
And so you started coming over to study,
Yeah.
and that was kind of fun because you were doing a lot of art history.
Right.
And so,
And politics.
yeah, and I technically I've never taken an art history class.
And yet you know more about art history than anyone else I know.
Well, I just like it. So, I look at a lot of art. I read about a lot of it. I mean, it is kind of what I do. So, so that was fun.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, at some point,
I just kind of moved in.
yeah, you got it. Well, and I've had some emergencies for people in my family where you just very willingly came in to keep the store open. So I'm like, okay, this is good. We've got a good partnership. Your strengths are different than mine. My weaknesses are different than yours. So we kind of
Right.
we are good.
Complement.
We're
Complement
good,
each
we're
other.
a good team. And really, I was just joking about a podcast, and then one day Sheryl came in with a box of equipment.
Well, all you got to do is say something 3 times, and by the 3rd time, I know you're serious about
Well,
it. So.
see, I would never have done that, but I like the idea. So I just technically, I'm good if I can plug something in and it turns on. That's about it. So.
Well, we got it that far anyway.
So here we are, and I think we don't really know where we're headed with this, but that's about everything. Everything in my life, I just let's go ahead and start it.
Right.
And then see what happens.
Right.
And that is my philosophy. It is, I think, part of getting older is being reluctant to try new things because, I see that. And I know sometimes my brain will hurt. I just don't want to learn a different way to use an app or have to do something I haven't in a different way because I haven't done it before.
And people don't give us credit for being old. So they think we know things that are new technology.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
It's hard for us to keep up.
We can't see. We have to get our glasses on.
The trifocals.
We have to get our readers on. We have to okay, where is this? And there is we do pretty well.
We do.
So we're giving ourselves a pat on the back for that.
Yeah, and we think everyone else should give older women pats on the back because we exist and we do things and we know things.
We know a lot. We're also pretty invisible to a lot of the world, and I've been in stores sometimes where I feel like I'm going to have to walk out and make the alarms go off to get help. And it's a real thing.
Call security. She needs to cash out.
It's I can't get. And it's not always. There's it depends. Sometimes you get attention you don't actually want, but for the most part, we're invisible, and yet we're expected to keep contributing to our society. So,
Right. And
yeah,
take care of everything.
yeah, we need to take care of things.
We are the machinery that nobody looks at.
Um, and then, there's a lot of pressure really to like look younger
Oh, yeah.
and to still be kind of hot,
Right.
but at the same time, we're old. So in the past, it was like, great, you're old, this 5-year-old grandma.
That's right.
And now
They got credit for being old.
right. And now like we have to do everything, but we don't get credit for it.
Right.
So,
We're supposed to look like the 35-year-old.
yeah, we don't.
Not even close.
So those are our complaints, but
I
I'm
know
sure.
this is not a beer gut. This is a pasta gut.
Okay. So anyway, those are our complaints, but we're gonna power through them.
That's right.
And so, and we're gonna show all the things we actually do accomplish, which is
Somebody just parked the wrong way.
yeah, okay, we're watching someone pull in out of yeah, they corrected, but yeah.
Yeah, but a car was coming.
Yes. So let's take a quick break and we'll come back with our next topic.
Hey, while we take a quick break here, I just want to let you know that we're going to put links to just about everything we're discussing here in the video description, so you can take a deeper dive into any of it. Thanks.
Hey, we're back. We took a little break there to silence our phones. My phone blows up all the time with all kinds of things. So this part of the show, we'd like to just give a little introduction to what we're doing every day, what our professional projects are, and then we're going to tell you about the upcoming shows because we got a pretty full slate of things planned. We like to prepare. We are good at preparing. Although this is, I had planned on writing more of a script for this podcast because I don't like them when they're slow, but I think we're going fast enough. So
I think it's good.
okay. So I'll start with some of the things that I've been doing art projects wise. We just installed a show at Low Mill in Huntsville called Landscapes in Metal and Paint. And so I collaborated with my friend Steve Davis, who's a local sculptor, and we'll probably have him on in an interview at some point. And so he made basically an enchanted forest of trees out of metal. It was really something to see. And then I have my landscape paintings along with that. So it's on the 3rd floor. It's like the southeast gallery at Low Mill in Huntsville. And if you're around there, I encourage you to go. The show is up from now until mid-July. So that was a big project that just took place.
Sounds good. I'm going to go up there and look at it.
Yeah.
Because all I've seen are pictures so far, and the pictures look really good.
And Low Mill is just great place to visit. I think they're open to the public like Wednesday through Sunday, I believe. And there's like 120 studios. There's lots of exhibit space. They have some restaurants. They have, I think they're having regular concerts. It's just a really fun place.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And this is our 2nd exhibit there. So we're really happy to be part of it. Of course, at the studio, because most of my landscapes are gone, I'm featuring flowers. Not only that, I have a lot of flower paintings, and so we're here Monday through Friday, 11 to 6, and Saturdays, 11 to 4. So either Sheryl or I are here. A lot of times we're both here, and feel free to just kind of come hang out. You don't have to come buy anything. I just like it when people look at my paintings.
Lorrie likes people.
I do like people. And so I get kind of, painting's kind of a lonely business. And so part of the reason I have a storefront is so that, people come in. So I'm not, basically in solitary confinement all day.
Right.
Which I do remind people they use that as punishment.
That's right. That's right.
So I have plenty of time by myself to paint, and it has not been a problem, but you never know. Also in the studio, there are paintings by Liz Lane, who is my daughter. So there's a few of hers, not a lot because she really has a high demand for her work. So it goes out pretty fast. We have a few things left from Steve Davis, although most of his sculptures are now at Low Mill. He also has his own studio in Northport. So that's also a really fun thing to look at because he has a sculpture garden there.
It's called Sun Hearts Metalworks.
Yes, Sunheart Metalworks in Northport. Be sure to check that out. It's online, and we'll have to provide links to these when we
Sure.
figure that out.
Sure.
That sounds very
Yeah.
very professional.
Yeah.
We just got back some pottery from Doris Plum. That's always really nice. And we've got hats and bags from Sheryl.
Yay.
Did I leave anything out?
Yes. You have photography.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, yes, I did. So we have photos from Jeremy Butler. Most of them are from his series of Tuscaloosa Churches at Night. So we have those prints, and we have the Crossroads Arts Alliance letterpress prints. So we have
Out of Gordo, Alabama.
So we have a pretty good variety in the store right now. You just never know. Things kind of come in and out. They're all handmade. They're all one of a kind. So, it's always something different. I supply a number of galleries, and I work with an art rep. And so he's coming this week. So sometimes when he comes in,
He takes stuff.
He takes things. So yeah. So you have to as one of my business models is, Sheryl, what is it?
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah, which is, it does happen. So
That's right. People will see something in the window and they'll say, I've been looking at this for weeks. And they come in and they talk about it and they still don't buy it. And then they come in a week later and they say, what happened to that landscape that was in the window last week? Well, you snooze, you lose.
Well, I'll paint more, but it is surprising to some people that painting and art is a business, and I think they think of the Van Gogh model where it's just some crazy guy who cuts off his ear and makes all this art that gets really expensive and valuable after he's dead, and so that does happen. But there are people, and there's a number of people who create the art, and people like it, and they actually pay money for it, and it is an actual business.
That's right.
So, and it's a store. So it's not a museum.
Right.
It's a store.
You're allowed to talk in here.
Go ahead and touch the artwork. Sometimes you'll get paint on you, and because my easel and my paint and everything is right here, and it's right up front, so I could see. That's where the best light is. So it's a working studio. Things can get kind of messy. We kind of clean them up for events, but and then you can just come in, look. We get a lot of students that are assigned. Their art appreciation class assigns them to come into the studio, and I just really enjoy it.
Yeah, and this is the only commercial full-time gallery, I think, in Tuscaloosa.
It is. We are not a nonprofit. We're a for-profit. We try to make money.
Yes.
We're kind of a micro business.
And it's an award-winning.
Yes, I guess I have an award, and yay.
Yay.
So that's kind of what I'm doing currently, and I'm just painting a lot. So I have a lot of painting projects that I'm working on, but it's hard to really describe them on the air. But we'll have pictures up. Okay, and now, so Sheryl, you have lots of interesting things going on.
Oh, I have lots of interesting things going on. Back to being gardener Sheryl.
That's good.
Yes, I restarted my vegetable gardens, which took a hiatus during school because I couldn't keep up with the yard, let alone a garden. No, but actually, mostly I research and write. I'm working on 2 books about contemporary Southern artists. I'm not going to get into specifics on those yet, but
Well,
it,
and some of the ideas from the podcast really came because you're actually specializing in oral history.
that's right. I am doing oral history research, so both of the books are going to be primary source material for future scholars, and hopefully they'll be interesting enough for the general public to just want to read them. So it's basically going to be stories about these artists in their words. So this podcast will kind of overlap with what I'm doing because the interviews we'll do on here will be pretty much like an oral history.
Yes.
Because we're going to have some interesting people on that you're going to want to know about just for the, just because it's like Americana.
And I think you found when you were researching your other projects, there's not a lot out there.
That's true.
There's like writing about contemporary artists, writing about contemporary Southern artists is pretty scant, right? There's not
Right.
a lot out there,
Right.
and so without record keeping, without any contemporary history, I think a lot gets lost.
That's true.
And we found, I mean, it's pretty well known. A lot of women artists throughout history, it seems like, oh, they don't exist. No, they're there. They were
Right.
doing a lot, but they was just like no one thought it was important to,
Right.
say who they were. Like it didn't matter. It was like, yeah, we left this painting, but I don't know, some old lady painted it. Who cares? And
And the point is to try and get information out of these artists before they die, so we can actually learn about who they are, what they do, why they do, and then when they die, we're not looking back and going, well, they didn't exist.
Right, that's right. And so, and artists are probably notoriously bad at keeping records of their own work and their own lives. So, I know
Yeah.
I have records, but they're not great. And that is, really a service to the future historians and future other people who want to be artists, to
Right.
have that example. So, do you want to say anything about your collaboration with the W, or do you want to wait for a later?
Well, there's not really anything to report on that yet, but I will say that I'm also going to be a contributing author for a book that's coming out in Europe about using junk and discards as art. I will have a chapter on Elaine Goodman out of Columbus, Mississippi, and that will be a scholarly book.
And you want to tell them where you gave the first presentation for that?
Yes, I went to Lyon, France for a art history conference that's held only once every 4 years.
It's like the Olympics.
It's like the Olympics of art history, yes. And like the Olympics, they move it every 4 years. And so I was fortunate enough to have my work accepted, and I traveled to Lyon, France, and gave my presentation there. And from that, Bloomsbury Publishing, who published the Harry Potter books, among other things, decided they wanted to do a book on this topic.
Yes, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We may not look like we're anything but old ladies, but see all this all the stuff that's going on. So our upcoming shows.
Yep.
Okay, the next if you still really want to listen to us for the second episode,
Which we hope you do.
we hope you do. It's called The Unbreakable Sheryl Jeffries. It's based on, the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, because she was in a bunker for a while, and I feel like Cheryl was kind of like in a popular culture bunker
That's
for
right.
a while. She didn't get the reference. I had to explain the whole thing about Kimmy Schmidt because she thought it was a character in another show
Yeah.
or an actress. I don't know.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
So I get to practice my decades of pop culture trivia, which I don't know why. Like I don't really think I watch more movies or more shows or anything more than the normal person, but I also have trouble forgetting any of them, and so I'm always like bringing things up. And so over the course of the past few years, I've kind of made Cheryl watch a lot of TV shows, for instance. Streaming really helps. Some of it was because I had some jokes and she wasn't getting them. So, like, literally, I'm like, you have to watch this series so you get the one reference I make in this one joke.
Yep.
And
Everything's going over my head.
so part of it's just like, no, now you haven't really made me watch anything because
No.
you knew I wouldn't.
That's right. That's right. You wouldn't watch what I would watch.
Yeah, it's get like that. So anyway, so that's coming up next, and we're going to talk a lot about pop culture and just have fun with it, because we're not. Well, the thing about it is Cheryl, you're probably a pretty serious person.
Probably is an understatement.
Yeah, you're a very serious person. I'm not really, and so but I make her like watch comedy. So
Yeah,
'cause
I'm a better person for it.
I love comedy, and I love so this is what I
And Lorrie's very funny too.
well I don't know if I'm funny, but I make her like watch a whole series so she gets my one funny reference, and we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
And then we have some interview shows coming up, but we have to actually like ask the people that we're interviewing.
Yeah, it's kind of a technicality, but they don't know yet that we're asking them.
But they kind of pre-authorized. I mean, they've already said they
Okay, yeah, that's true.
they're not opposed
They
to it.
know about the podcast.
Yeah, they're not opposed to it. And so that'll happen. And then we have one that we're just going to talk about, basically about art in all many forms. And then really after that, we've got a lot of interview shows. So it won't just be us talking about stuff. We will have guests who will
That's right.
be able to really expand your knowledge of what's going on around not just Tuscaloosa, because we have people who are experts in all kinds of things. So anyway, that is it. Now we needed a sign off for our show, and we're decided what do. I mean, old ladies used to watch soap operas, so we're gonna.
I did when I was young.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're gonna play with that, and so Cheryl, it's time to watch our shows.
That's right. So we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.